I have a question for everybody today, and that is, when should Shedeur and Shilo Sanders, both brothers, when should they declare for the NFL draft? That's right, folks. We're going to get into today's question, and I want you guys, the fans of the show, to comment down below, and let's have a conversation. I love talking with y'all. I'm going to give my take on it and what are the potential scenarios and even the pros and cons if Shedeur and Shilo Sanders taken proclaim for the NFL, and where Travis Hunter also ties into this.
Turn 100 for the touchdown, King Crown, gain inside, leading your town, hit you faster than the sound, bad boy, throw it down.
Sons of the legendary Deion Sanders, primetime Deion Sanders, Shilo and Shedeur Sanders have lit it up in college football. Shedeur started off crushing it for Jackson State. We knew what kind of quarterback he was, but it still was not good enough. And we're seeing how every single year, HBCU players, whether it be a quarterback, kicker, whatever, they're disrespected every year in the draft, every single year. Being said, they now go to Colorado, and right now we're 4 games into this season. They're currently 3-1. Shedeur Sanders is one of the best college football quarterbacks. Even after a beat down in Oregon, still didn't throw no picks and is tough as nails. The 6'2", 220, 215-pound quarterback is crushing it in college football. Some would even have him as a Heisman candidate. Of course, he has to bounce back after the Oregon loss. And this is when I'm filming this, is after the Oregon loss. But man, Colorado has a heck of a team. There's so many ballers there, so stacked. But I wanted to make the video now. Initially, I think it was like Tuesday, I was kicking back, doing some reviews, doing research on Oregon. I'm like, man, they got a good roster, man. I don't know what's going to happen. And my decision stays the same. I think Shedeur Sanders, whether they would have beat Oregon or not, should stay another year, after this college football season with his father, Coach Prime, the Colorado Buffalo. Man, I think it should happen. And we're going to talk about Shedeur first, then we're going to talk about Shilo. Now, both of them, let me see. Shedeur Sanders actually has 3 years of eligibility left, because remember there was the COVID year, right? Then we have Shilo has 2 years. He actually started his college football career back in 2019 when he was playing for the South Carolina Gamecocks. But Shedeur is, between the two brothers, who's the better player? Obviously, 2 different positions. You know, Shiloh's a big anchor on the defense, and then Shedeur is absolutely crushing it on offense. I think it will take another year for this Buffs team to get to where they need. We saw this O-line is not ready to take on the bigger schools, and it's going to be a lot more sacks for Shedeur Sanders. Right now, don't quote me, I think 4 games this season, they're 3-1. I want to say somewhere around 24, 23 times sacked. And that is a lot to get knocked on your back. So he's tough as can be. I would like to see Colorado win a national championship. And if that happens, I could see a world where an NFL where Shedeur Sanders is the #1 overall pick. If not, he's top 5. You got to be top 5, man. This class is going to be good, and then the year after next is going to be pretty good. And I watch a lot of college football. You guys know on this show, if you're not familiar and it's your first time watching a video like this, I've interviewed over 60 professional athletes, and almost all of them were pre-draft interviews. Almost every single one of them. N'Kobe Dean, been on the show. Hassan Haskins, been on the show. Danny Gray has been on the show. Rondale Moore, the list goes on and on. I hope to get some Colorado guys, but that's besides the point. Now let's talk Shilo Sanders. Shilo, absolute anchor. If you take out one, they kind of go to where they need to be, right? I see a world where Shilo Sanders, man, also stays another year as well, too. Again, their value goes up the better the team does. Now, of course, you have teams like Tulane, and I don't know if y'all remember, Tulane last year beat USC. After they beat USC, and they had a pretty good year, and we see all times of college football players have pretty good years. Tulane, guys, they beat USC. Caleb Williams, they beat them, right? And we saw, don't quote me on the number, it was somewhere between, I think it was like 6 to 8 players get drafted from Tulane. And that's like unheard of. I was like, what in the world? So the value goes up, and this team is not, again, this team had 1 win all last year. The Buffs were trash in 2022. Coach Prime comes in, and the Prime effect happens, baby. And all this stuff has happened, everything from real estate being built up and players coming from transferring from big schools like Alabama, transferring from big schools like Ole Miss, and so forth, right? And they know that they're gonna get burned, and they know that they have a really good shot of going to the NFL. Coach Prime has a great platform, a fantastic platform, and I do see a world that within the next 2 to 3 years, the Buffs win the national championship. But they need the best O-line, they need the better D-line. They have some good guys out there, and they can handle the teams like TCU and Nebraska and CSU. But what happens when you play, Utah this year? What happens when we play USC? They have a very stout schedule, so their jaw, boxing reference, is going to get tested. I want to see Colorado do well. Now, if Shedeur leaves, I don't see a world where Shilo doesn't leave with him. Also, I don't think it would be good because is Travis Hunter really going to want to stay on a team where his two best friends, or brothers, I would even argue, because they truly are a family, right? I don't see a world where Travis Hunter stays on the Buffalo, right? Now, his video is really about Shilo and Shedeur, but we can't talk about them two without their best defensive forward / offensive weapon, Travis Hunter, right? We talked about him a lot on this show, so man, it's a lot to unpack. But I want you guys, the fans of the show, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Should they go next year's draft? Should they go for this upcoming NFL draft, the 2024 draft? I mean, should they wait till 2025 or beyond, right? So I think they should wait. I think all three of them should go next year, the 2025 draft, not this upcoming draft, but the draft after. So I love football, baby. I love football. And look, it was a tough loss. It was a very tough loss versus Oregon. I hate to see it, man. I absolutely hate to see it. But man, that's football, man. You can't win every game, right? So I think this is going to make Colorado a better team. And ultimately, we're about to see the character of Shilo and Shedeur, and they're gonna thrive on after this, man. It's going to be back to business as usual. So comment below, hit that subscribe button. I don't just cover college football. I don't just cover the Buffaloes. I cover a little bit of everything on this channel. But we'll catch you guys next time on a Touchdown with Doug Smith.
Turn 100 for the touchdown, king crown, gain inside, leading your town, hit you faster than the sound, bad boy, throw it down, yeah, I'm ill, not my will, don't Copperfield, fill the house, listen to the roaring crowd, drop a like, calm it down, Heisman, all the haters mouth, superhero hit them wow, packing more action than bing, boom, bam, pow, touchdown for the win, we live, subscribe right now.